We've been hearing the name Luke Joeckel quite a bit recently when we're talking about the NFL draft. We're about to talk some more about Mr. Joeckel. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort. Joining me now to talk about the offensive line in the 2013 NFL Draft. Our friend at Optimum Scouting, Eric Galco. And Eric, Luke Joeckel, consensus top offensive lineman in this draft. Possibility for the top pick. What makes him the best offensive lineman here?
Yeah, I think comparing him and Eric Fisher of Central Michigan is very unique because Luke Joeckel is a guy who's a technician at left tackle, wins with hand placement, ideal footwork, and kick sliding well enough to stop speed rushers as well as holding his ground against power rushers. He's a guy who's going to come into the league and be a 10 to 15-year starter because he knows already out of college how to attack defensive linemen, where he has to be, where the quarterback is, and he can adjust to different defensive linemen and speed rush moves as well. So I think Luke Joeckel is a better than expected athlete and a guy who can win based on his already developed technique as an offensive lineman.
Gotcha. I know a lot of offensive linemen we've got rated fairly high in this draft. Just talk about the quality overall of this group.
Yeah, I think we have maybe three franchise left tackle type talents in this draft class, and Eric Fisher, Luke Joeckel, and Lane Johnson of Oklahoma, Lane Johnson guy, and Eric Fisher, who's played left or right tackle in their career. So both high-end athletes can play left or right tackle from this draft class. A huge benefit for NFL teams. Also, the two offensive guards, Chance Warmack and Jonathan Cooper, both very close and do different things as guards, but both likely going to be top 20 picks despite playing a position that's not necessarily valued highly. And also Larry Warford at guard as well for a late first-round pick in Kentucky. A guy who does everything well in the inside of that offensive line and could be a long-term starter. I think overall, this draft class gets weak after the second round, but if you're an offensive lineman, you can get a very good one in those top 50 picks.
Yeah, talk about Johnson a little bit. I was fascinated by his performance at the Combine. He seems like an extremely athletic guy for a guy that big. What's your take on him overall and his athleticism compared to some of the guys that are in the NFL right now?
Yeah, he's a guy who's a former quarterback turned tight end, turned offensive lineman, a guy who played left and right tackle this year as well. Still growing as an offensive lineman, but surprisingly polished in his footwork and getting to his kick slide against speed rushers. He's a guy who has shown his upside on film and at the Senior Bowl, and obviously his athletic ability was on display at the NFL Combine. He's still working through the kinks, especially as an hand placement, but he has the size and the length to get by in the NFL early on and has that left tackle potential to be one of the top flight offensive tackles in this draft class and in the NFL overall. I think his upside is what teams are excited about, but also in college, he showed he can play right away in the NFL at a high level.
All right, talk about the Alabama guys, Chance Warmack, DJ Fluker. I know you have them in the top 10 offensive linemen in this draft. Just talk about the guys from Alabama and what they bring when they come from a program like that into the NFL.
Yeah, they both come from a power run scheme in Alabama. I think both guys are better when they're working inside the line and not doing too much past the line of scrimmage. I think Chance Warmack is great in the short area, won't let anyone get past him in pass rushing situations, and wins as a mauler in the short area run blocking. And same for DJ Fluker, a guy with great length, but questions if he can play right tackle or he has to kick it inside a guard. I think both guys are maulers in the run game, win against most defensive linemen they play against, but can they get upfield is a question marks NFL teams had, especially with a lot of teams running zone offenses or teams wanting offensive linemen. They could be a bit more versatile, but I still think DJ Fluker and Chance Warmack go somewhere in the top 25, despite Fluker being a right tackle only or maybe a guard, and Warmack being a guard not in a premium position.
Gotcha. And finally, before I let you go, always got to ask that sleeper question. You mentioned Fisher, obviously a great prospect from Central Michigan, Warford from Kentucky. Who else do you have from maybe a smaller school or someone that folks might not have heard about?
Yeah, I think David Quessenberry, the guy that stands out from San Jose State as kind of a mid-round pick. Maybe go as high as the late second or early third round, depending on how much teams need offensive linemen. But he's a guy who played left tackle in college, played guard in college, played center at the Senior Bowl, kind of a utility man across the offensive line. It's played his position well when he's getting a chance to. I think if teams need some depth on their offensive line and don't know where they need a starter quite yet based on free agency or based on how the players they drafted outside of Quessenberry shake out, I think Quessenberry can play a left tackle, both guard spots, center. Having guys play four offensive line positions is definitely intriguing for NFL teams. I think he goes someplace in the third round despite coming from San Jose State.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Eric. We'll be talking to you as things move along, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you after the draft to get some analysis. Do appreciate your time today.